Hi, this is Morgan Jerimus with RT Book Reviews, and I'm here with Rachel Gibson, of course, the contemporary author. You've got quirky characters, quirky settings, small towns, and I personally love them because you never quite know what's going to come out of your characters' mouths next. Are you like that? Do I not know what's going to happen here?
Well, hopefully not. Hopefully I'll surprise you. I usually don't know what's going to come out of their mouths either, so it's always fun and interesting to write them.
Okay, so you recently celebrated your 30th wedding anniversary.
I did.
You're very happily married, and I have to ask you, does that make you, are you a hopeless romantic? Did you always know that you were going to fall in love and that's why you give it to your characters?
I don't think I ever thought about it. I met my husband in high school and we started dating and we just, got married, started having kids. I think that's just maybe what we thought happened, and it happened to work out because he is my best friend and he always has been my best friend. So anytime that times got rough, and they always do, especially in a 30 years marriage, I relied on that he was my best friend, and I never wanted to lose my best friend. I mean, I could probably kick a lover to the curb, but best friend is hard because there's no one to run to and say, guess what happened to me today, and then it's.
And having somebody always there and that support, for me, I know that's really important.
Right.
Because, you like you said, you always have something happen to you,
right.
and having the guarantee of that shoulder to cry on.
Yeah, and that person to tell you good news to and celebrates with you. And, it's just, we grew up together, really, what it comes down to.
And I love when you call him Mr. Gibson on your social networks, Mr. Gibson.
Mr. Gibson,
and he seems like he's incredibly supportive of your career.
He is, and he always has been. Even before I was published, he supported me by, coming up with the money to come to conferences. When, we had 3 small children, and I was a stay-at-home mother, so we lived on one income.
Wow.
So
it's been, it was uphill for you, but then you started landing on the bestseller list, like it is for anybody to work and hone your craft, but then you started landing on the bestseller list. You've got lines and lines at book signings because your readers, they want to meet you, they want to get to know you. Is there any interactions that really struck you as they were something that really you hold close to your heart with your fans?
I think anybody who takes the time out of their day to write to me, to tell me how much my book meant to them, or that I made them laugh, or they have any sort of emotion, means a lot to me, because I'm not the type of person who takes that sort of time out of my day. I might think, I'm going to be, really nice and tell this person what a wonderful book they read, and then the thought's out of my head and I never do. So,
I'm a lot like that too.
I always mean to be that person, but I never am.
So it means a lot to you when you get to meet them.
Yes, it does. And sometimes you hear their stories that are quite moving, like perhaps they were going through a rough period in their time, and one of my books helped them to just step out of their lives for a few hours and have a few hours of enjoyment and laugh, and that's really what my books are about, and that's really important to me.
Well, let's talk about it. September is going to be a very busy month for you.
Yep.
2 stories coming out. The first one is a short e-story.
It is.
And that's Blue by You.
Yes, Blue by You.
And we have reunited lovers. They broke up when they were very young, and your hero, Casper, he went into the military.
Marines, yes.
And Blue, she stayed. And she's kind of built her whole life. It's not like she's suspended in time. She definitely moved on. When they get back together, what is the very first, when they get back together, kind of reactions to each other?
I think it's like they were never really parted. I mean, a lot has happened in their lives, and they've grown up and they've become truly different people. But the romance and the feelings that were there when they parted are just right back there again. Well, first because, it's a novella, so it has to. I only have 100 to 80 pages to get them liking each other enough to,
So it helps that they never lost that loving feeling.
Right, to have a sexual relationship and then fall in love, or fall in love and have a sexual relationship. So that has to move fast, so.
And then later in September, you have Run to You.
Run to You.
And you can't disguise that this is going to be a very sexy, awesome book, because right on the cover, you've got that heroine, and she's got these cut abs, and I'm like, I want to be her.
Yes, so do I.
And she's on the side of the road. Tell me, why is she on the side of the road in your cover?
Well, it's kind of a road book. The hero is hired by one of his friends to find the heroine and return her to Texas. And she doesn't necessarily want to go back to Texas, so she does all sorts of things to delay the process along the way. She knows that, she really is going to have to end up there, but, she just wants to be an irritant and, not really have everything go the hero's way.
Well, you have stated prior to the series you're working on now, and Rescue Me was the first one, then Blue to You, now Run to You,
right.
Blue by You, Run to You, and you've stated prior to the series that you never thought you'd write military men weren't necessarily something you were going to go. What made you change your mind? Why are these military men so special that you knew you had to tell their stories?
I guess that falls under the never say never category, but yeah, I wrote a book years ago, and it was called, it's escaping my mind right now, but it was the last hockey book I did, and the heroine had a brother named Vince, and Vince was a retired Navy SEAL, and I wasn't going to write about Vince. I had no intention of ever writing about Vince. He was a military man. I didn't want to write about him. I actually wanted to write a whole new series about people who had won the lottery and what they did with their money. But Vince
I would read that series.
Well, good, because it's going to come up sometime. But I just felt compelled, and I had to write Vince's story. And since he was a retired Navy SEAL, there you go. I had to write a Navy SEAL, and I didn't want to, but I had to.
Well, I was gonna, as a fan, I'm very happy you were compelled to write these military men.
Yeah, any man of mine. Vince first appeared in Any Man of Mine.
Well, you have so many books.
I know.
It's probably hard to keep track.
It is hard to
especially
keep
because you've got the next one already probably
right
up there, ready to come out.
I'm 3 titles ahead of you, so.
Tell me, you have been writing a long time.
Right.
Where do you find that, like, your greatest sources of inspiration come from?
I don't know. I think just life. I think other writers get it from movies or magazines, articles, or something. But I look at my life as that I am, like everybody, I am a sponge of my environment around me, and writing is how I kind of squeeze the sponge and it comes out onto the page. And writing is something that I just feel compelled to do every day. It's not necessarily something I love to do every day. I would love to do it every day, but I just feel more compelled to do it every day.
Well, it's very hard. It can be a lonely profession.
Yes.
It can be difficult when things aren't happening maybe the way you want them to. What do you find is one of your biggest stumbling blocks as a writer that really can maybe stall the process for you, and how do you get over that?
Well, I'm a huge procrastinator. So since writing is hard, and my boss lives in New York and never knows if I'm at my computer actually writing.
You need to set up a camera so
exactly.
she can wag her finger.
That's one of the biggest stumbling blocks, is actually because getting actually into the beginning of the story is really difficult, because for me anyway, I don't know these characters, and getting to know the characters is rough and it's very hard work. So that's the hardest part of the book, is the beginning. So I procrastinate a lot in the beginning, and that's my biggest stumbling block. I think if I could just not procrastinate, I would just probably turn out 3 books a year or something, but as it is, I turn out 1.
Well, like I said, in September, we've got a lot of great things coming. Blue by You, which comes out the beginning of the month, and then at the end, we've got Run to You, and I'm very much looking forward to the stories. Thank you so much for talking with me today.
Thanks for inviting me. I had a great time.